Swedish prosecutors will visit Ecuador's London embassy to interview Julian Assange over claims of sexual assault later. A warning, there's some flash photography coming up. The allegations against Mr Assange were first made 6 years ago. Many believe that the investigation is long overdue and that he should be forced to answer the accusations made against him, while others think the charges are nothing more than hearsay and he should walk free. Well, the women's equality campaigner Rebecca Morden and the author Peter Lloyd join me now. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Peter, perhaps I can turn to you first. What are your thoughts about what's going to happen later today at the Ecuadorian embassy?
Well, I'm hoping that that they are going to see sense, because I agree with the UN. I mean, I think Julian Assange should be set free. I think this has cost us over 5 years. This has been a 5-year farce. It's cost us £12 million. It's been an absolute joke. And let's not forget, Julian Assange hasn't even been charged with anything yet. So this whole thing needs to be brought to an end, and swiftly. So I'm hoping that's going to be the result from today's meeting with prosecutors who have really dragged their feet for a long time.
Well, Peter Lloyd, you do have to question someone in order to charge them. Rebecca Morden, I'd just like to ask your opinion on what Peter said there, that Julian Assange should just be set free because it's taken an inordinate amount of time. I mean, he's been in the Ecuadorian embassy for 4 years now, but just by sheer nature of the fact that he's been in there for so long, does that mean that, you know, these charges shouldn't happen, that they should forget about investigating these alleged crimes?
Oh no, of course not. And I'm actually pretty sure that even Peter's not saying that. I think he's saying that justice should be taken effect now. I mean, for a long time, basically, you've got very high-level people defending Julian Assange. You've got worrying concerns from people in America and politicians, and genuine threats to his overall safety separately from these allegations. But we're not in that position now. You know, now it's becoming increasingly embarrassing that he's sort of living in Uncle Ecuador and Anti-Blighty's basement. The new president-elect obviously is a massive fan. Twitter is alive with Trump followers thanking dear Julian for having elected their next president and heralded in the brave new world that we have yet to strap our seatbelts on for and experience. And you know, all the time that Julian's been under the basement, he's been saying, I just want to clear my name. Because to be clear, he doesn't deny these things happened. He denies that they weren't consensual. So actually everyone thinks, including Julian and his lawyers, that he should be over there facing the music, and now he's safe to do so, because ultimately the real victims here are, of course, the women who've made the allegations, who are facing horrible abuse online for having made the allegation in the first place. There's all sorts of, one of them, the statute of limitations has run out, so they can't even prosecute her crime now. So again, it's as usual, and I would argue in this country too, the victims of the crime are not seeing their justice, and if that means that Julian would clear his name and that would benefit him as well, then yes, of course, pack him off to Sweden. It's perfectly safe now. What on earth are we still doing, spending all this money keeping him in our basement?
Well, a little earlier we spoke to human rights activist Bianca Jagger. She has an interesting take on this. Let's take a listen.
I'm very glad that they have finally decided, that the Swedish government had decided to come and interrogate him there. I think that they should have done that a long time ago. With regards to that, I think that is the right thing to do. And I think that his fears that he might be sent to the US, I think were based on real fears.
What do you make of that, Peter Lloyd?
Well, I find it embarrassing that that the prosecutors in Sweden have taken so long to get their act together. You know, and they've taken clearly such a gendered approach to this. The Swedish prosecutors have interviewed roughly 50 people in Britain since 2010, and yet they've deliberately not interviewed Assange, even though he's welcomed that. So I'm very keen for this to be drawn to a close as soon as possible. And of course, you know, yes, this is a serious allegation and it should be treated so. But it's just an allegation, and it should be given no more credibility than his denial that this was a sexual assault.
in the eyes of the law, it should all be going to trial. And I just want to say, I don't think we can really blame Sweden for dragging their feet here. There has been a huge international power play here, where Ecuador have been enjoying embarrassing America. America have been being embarrassed by Assange. There's been a lot of huge international forces at work here. I think, if anything, we can be assured that Sweden, now they're allowed to get involved, will probably handle this very well, because their history for human rights and their attrition rate is far better as a country than ours. So I think we're all keen to hand this over and see justice done.
OK, Rebecca Morden. Oh, no, go on, Peter.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and Rebecca, I do agree with you in that sense. I mean, I think,
I know it's uncanny, isn't it?
For once, Julian Assange has been let down, but of course the women making these allegations have also been let down. I mean, I think the whole due process has been lost in this political farce that we've seen. And I think that's a real shame. Let's just get it over with and let's get due process done and sorted.
Well, the Swedish prosecutors have arrived at the embassy, so that is all taking place as of now this morning. Rebecca Morden, women's equality campaigner, and author Peter Lloyd, thank you very much for debating this subject here on Sky News this morning.